I don't really know where to start this. I don't know if I'll upload it. I don't know if that's a good idea anymore or not, but I know for documentation reasons and for my own sake of remembrance, there are things I want to keep track of and new theories that have arisen, or maybe theories that have come back around that it's time to take another look at, and maybe time to change some of my beliefs based on the available information that I have. Having too much information isn't always a good idea. Awareness bringing to these topics, especially dark ones, isn't always good, or beneficial rather. But neither is ignorance and darkness. Both of those are dangerous for an individual, to know too little and to know too much. I don't even know where to begin or where to talk anymore. My whole life, looking back now, has so many inconsistencies and oddities. And so does world history when you really sit down and look at it. Where's all this information coming from? I am seeing that parallel universes or timelines are a thing, but I'm seeing them on a macro scale that possibly few other people have ever considered, and those are theories that I might experiment with on my own to determine if they're true or not, because if they are true, almost nobody would benefit from knowing them. Almost nobody. I don't know. Am I in purgatory? I'm pretty sure it's not Hades. Yet, I don't think I'd have any joy. I wouldn't smile. There wouldn't be any sun. There wouldn't be dogs, puppies. So I don't think it's Hades. Is it purgatory? I don't know. You are able to change your behavior, but how much free will do we actually possess, and how do you instigate it so that you can write your own story and you're not following some script? And where are all these scripts coming from? By feeding our own reality with all these books and digital media now, and everything being connected by the web. Is everything we're feeding into the universal cloud then also happening to us from whatever universe or dimension or whatever is above us? I hope that makes sense. If I do post this message and you don't understand any of this, then you're not ready to receive this information yet. But I do know that it's really easy and dismissive to point at people and call them crazy just because maybe you lack imagination or you are comfortable in the rut, in the loop, in the maze. I am not comfortable in the maze now, especially since I might know what it is. And I don't know how to relay some of these things without pointing to examples on other channels, movies, books, songs, pop culture that maybe you guys can relate to, because again, it's very hard to communicate some of these things. I've grasped information from a variety of places over the last 5 years or so and put these things together with painstaking slowness, because I guess I'm just not very bright. And I was gullible. And I believe things that people told me because they came from people I was told that loved me or were supposed to love me. waking up is a shock, and it can be harmful to the person waking up, just like when somebody's sleepwalking and you wake them up. It can startle them, it can shock their system and leave them out of sorts for a time. This is the maze from The Shining. In it, Jack Nicholson, Jack, is sitting at a typewriter and he's writing a book allegedly, but when his wife goes to read what he's written, there's only pages and pages and pages of "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." And it's ironic that his character's name is Jack, and his name in real life, allegedly, or his stage name is Jack as well. How many times do these parallels ripple out? I said my life felt like Truman before I ever saw any reference to that about targeted individuals. I was traumatized because I recognized differences in people and places, and I started looking into it, and I started doing research. And again, information can be dangerous because it gives you a certain amount of power, but with that comes responsibility, and you need to steer away from pride and things like that at all costs, and ego. So, for the record, for people who think, oh, well, you faced some trauma, that's why you've disassociated from your friends, family, from the world, that's why everything feels different to you, that's why you think you're in a different timeline, or what have you, a different incarnation, iteration, reset, whatever you want to call it. But that's not true. I was traumatized to make me forget. Trauma is a very effective tool in memory wiping and replacing that memory with something else that you want there to keep the truth hidden from people. The more I empty out my system, and I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice, this is my personal real life story. It's not an arc, it's not a game. I don't find it funny when people point to it and say that I should feel this way or I should feel that way. You simply don't know until you're going through it. And please be aware that what you watch and what you listen to has an effect. If you're not adept at spiritual warfare, if you don't know how to claim your free will and how to wield the sword of the Spirit, which is your tongue, the word of truth to empower yourself and your free will, then you probably shouldn't watch any of my videos, because I go over these things ad nauseum so that you can properly protect and defend yourself. Because even though I think death is an illusion, and I don't think that it's permanent, that does not mean that it does not harm us or set us back when it happens. And yes, I do believe it happens, and I believe we have been very, or at least I have been very misled and deceived, all for the amusement of others. See, some people are just sensitive to things. You know this when the hair on the back of your neck stands up, or your arms, you start to sweat, your heart will start to beat real fast, almost like an anxiety attack. Some people have that happen to them because of different frequencies and EMF wavelengths. I hope I said that right. Waves, EMF waves. I'm not physics, girl. I'm trying. So you know when there's a lot of devices around or there's eyes on you. By the way, I think I figured out what those are, and I think I know what angels are too, or at least the ones on the wheels with a bunch of eyes. I think we've seen them. I think it was in an old Outer Limits episode. Little disco ball looking things with a bunch of eyes, so that no matter which way it spins or turns, it's recording you. It's not completely sentient, but it's not sentient either. And I think that most people can't see these things because of things in the food. There's a show on YouTube called Dad. It's an alternate reality game. It's a game. It's not supposed to be true. But a long time ago, it was showing the dad who had been drugged into forgetting his real purpose and what he was doing here. And they gave him a fake family, and they were drugging him through his favorite food, which was pancakes. Which, since I've not been eating animals much, pancakes are one of my favorite foods. And again, I stumble upon these things after I experience them, or I look them up because I'm experiencing them, and I want to know what's happening, and if it's just me, and if it's happening to other people. I've asked you guys to help me out. Is my phone just giving me information that it thinks I want? Do you get the same results? Do you see the same television shows? Do you see the same big YouTubers? I think a lot of us have our own channels and we're not even aware of it. I think there's a system in place we're totally unaware of. I think there are good and bad reasons, pros and cons for that, from the good guys and the bad guys. And one man's God is another man's devil, and one man's devil is another man's God. Do I think it's right? Do I agree with it? It's just, that's how it is. My mom owned video stores when I was a kid. Everything I did has taught me things about where we are and what's happening today. You can record over a cassette tape. We went to digital and we went away from analog, but you can re-record a show over and over a cassette tape. But sometimes the old show that's underneath, the old story, still bleeds through. You still have frames that sometimes peek through. I think that's how our timelines are blending together. Very literally, in that way. I think that number stations are algorithms. If you think of the firmament, what is that? If you're on the outside of it, what does that look like? The four corners, right? But yet it's round, but the earth has four corners, and it has a firmament, a dome. You could think that it's a snow globe, but it could also be what? A picture tube on a monitor or a TV screen. Think. Start watching TV shows. Leave the sound down. Tell yourself it's true, and try to find the one real person on the show, and everyone else is handlers. Just, again, these are thought experiments to expand your perception a little bit and start watching certain things differently. Things can be edited. Are you sure people are consenting to all the things you're seeing on live streams, on OnlyFans, on, dirty sites? Are these people all knowing that they're being filmed? Have they agreed to this? I never saw my real birth certificate. People seem to know my name. They seem to know about me before they actually meet me. If somebody slips up and says something like that, suddenly I don't see them ever again. And I'm going to end this video with this. I recently had a memory come back. The more I clean myself out, in 2017, I was on 9 different medications. For someone that my age, that was ridiculous. The cleaner I've ate, the more I've cleaned out my temple, my vessel, my body, my wineskin, the more clarity I have started to have. I have a memory of being at my best friend's house when I was 15. And she pulled something out that at the time looked like an Etch-a-Sketch to me. Now I have the word for it. It looked like a tablet, like a notebook, an electronic tablet. Those weren't around back then, or at least as far as I knew and was aware, we didn't have those. We were watching the Penguins. They had just won the Stanley Cup, and our aunt ended up coming over and was allowing us to watch it in the back seat of the truck as we drove there. We were watching it in real time, everybody waiting for their plane to come in. And then we got caught with it or something. I can't remember exactly what happened, of course, because that night we went back to our house and our parents got in a really bad fight. And I was never allowed back over there really again. She got new friends, And she ended up being sent away because she got pregnant at 15. Sent away, I was told, to Kansas. I didn't realize how absurd that story sounded until just today. There's something wrong with my life. And it's not because I'm narcissistic or I want to be the center of attention, or I think I am. If I wanted to be the center of attention, I would be showing my face all the time. Selfies out the wazoo. I would have social media handles posted everywhere. I used to be that. I know what it looks like. That's not my role anymore. And as far as I'm concerned, until I get some real answers, I'm not participating. I'm not going to be entertainment for somebody. As far as I'm aware, there's only 200 people that might see my videos. It's a pretty darn small channel. I'm like the worst YouTuber ever. Who knows if they'll let you hear all this? I don't even know. Start reading comment sections. When I share a video, it's for a reason. Start seeing things with different eyes. Don't let nobody else frame the story for you. See what's really there. And see what's on the edges of things. Because remember, you're only seeing a really little bit of something if it's on a screen. And look at movies. Sure, we're shown how movies are made. But do you really envision that? All those giant, clunky, big, giant cameras? After some of the shots we've seen? No. There's something else going on. Cameras we can't see. Very small, minuscule. And if you don't know what breaking down the fourth wall is, look that phrase up. That's what a lot of people have done with my mind recently, and wow, guys, things just aren't what you think they are. If you want to continue with me as I do a few experiments and I try to delve into what's going on here, you're welcome to. But I would warn you, my testimony is a cautionary tale. Do not do things that I've done. Take my advice. And when I say how to wield your free will and how to declare things like that so that you can't be used like a sock puppet by these things when you sleep, because sleep is a whole other thing than we've been told to. That's all for now. Thank you if you stayed for this whole video. I will just start turning comments off if I need to. I simply block people now that I don't feel are contributing or I feel like are gaslighting me. I'm just being honest. Or I feel like they're bots and they're just feeding me my own words that I've said in the past. That's not a real conversation to me. It's time I had answers. I think you deserve them too. I love you. Bye.